Hello everyone and welcome back to the Iraqi Dinar News channel. Today we are diving into a story that has been shaking the dinar community like never before. Imagine waiting for years, holding on to something everyone told you was nothing but a dream, and then suddenly hearing whispers that the dream might actually be coming true. That's exactly what's happening right now. The name Frank26 has surfaced again. But this time not just with speculation or analysis, but with something people have been waiting decades to hear: talk of real exchanges happening at higher rates. Could this be the long-awaited Iraqi dinar, RV of 2025, or is it another spark that will fade away? Stay with me until the very end, because what we're about to discuss may change the way you see this entire investment journey. For years, people in the dinar community have held on to their Iraqi currency with the hope that one day it would revalue, turning ordinary paper notes into life-changing amounts of money. Most of the time, those hopes were fueled by rumors, discussions, and occasional updates about Iraq's monetary reform. But 2025 feels different. This year, the conversations aren't just about theory anymore. Instead, they are about something far more exciting: actual stories of exchanges taking place. And at the center of this talk is the familiar name, Frank26. Many of you know Frank has been a voice in this community for years, sharing updates, opinions, and possible scenarios. But when his name is tied to alleged real exchanges at higher rates, the story takes on a whole new level of energy. Let's set the scene. You've been holding on to your dinar for a long time. Maybe it's locked away in a safe deposit box, maybe hidden in a drawer, or even tucked inside an envelope you check on once in a while. Every time you look at it, you wonder if it will ever be worth more than what you paid. And then, out of nowhere, reports start coming in that someone you've followed for years, someone with credibility in the dinar world, has actually gone into a bank or an exchange location and walked out with proof of a higher rate. Imagine hearing that. The emotions that would run through you would be overwhelming: excitement, disbelief, and the sudden realization that maybe, just maybe, the moment has arrived. Now, let's be clear, this isn't an official government announcement. No central bank or financial authority has gone public saying the Iraqi dinar has officially revalued. But that's what makes this story so powerful. If even one person is experiencing exchanges at higher rates, it means the possibility is no longer just theory. It means somewhere, somehow, the doors are opening. Think about it like this. When a door that's been locked for years suddenly cracks open, you may not be inside yet, but you can see the light shining through. And that light is enough to make people believe their turn could be next. That is why the buzz right now is so strong, and why so many in the community are paying attention like never before. Picture this in your own life. You walk into a bank, hand over your dinar, and watch as the teller checks everything. Then comes the moment you've been waiting for. The rate appears on the screen. Instead of the small number you've seen for years, it shows something far higher, something that could change your financial future instantly. You take a breath, trying to stay calm, but inside you know this is the day everything shifts. That's the vision people have held on to through years of waiting, skepticism, and doubt. And when a familiar name like Frank26 is associated with stories of this actually happening, it makes the vision feel closer than ever before. It's no longer about someday, it's about now, and that changes everything. The dream has always been about more than just money. Of course, the financial numbers are huge. Single 25,000 dinar note at a higher rate could equal tens of thousands of US dollars. Multiply that by the number of notes some people have, and you're talking about wiping out debt, paying off mortgages, starting businesses, or even stepping into early retirement. But beyond that, it's about validation. It's about proving that years of patience, belief, and perseverance weren't wasted. For many, holding dinar was laughed at or dismissed by friends and family. But hearing stories of successful exchanges at higher rates is like finally seeing proof that the faith was worth it. And that emotional impact is almost as powerful as the financial reward. Skeptics, of course, will say this is just another rumor. And it's fair to be cautious, because in the dinar world, rumors have always come and gone. But here's why this moment feels different. There is too much talk happening all at once. There is discussion of lower denomination notes appearing. Conversations about Iraq's monetary reform being pushed harder, and at the same time, these reports of exchanges. In history, major financial changes rarely arrive without warning. Instead, the signs usually appear in clusters, creating momentum before the big announcement. That is exactly what we're seeing now in 2025. The timing feels unique. And the pieces on the board are starting to line up in a way that has everyone paying attention. That the talk about lower denomination notes is especially important. For the average Iraqi citizen, using smaller bills only makes sense if the currency itself has greater value. Right now, the larger notes are needed because of how low the value has been. But once lower notes are introduced and actually used in daily life, it means that dinar has gained strength. You can't hand someone a tiny note for groceries unless it actually buys something of value. This detail is key, because the mention of lower notes alongside rumors of exchanges at higher rates paints a clear picture. It suggests the structure for a stronger currency is being put into place, not just in theory, but in practice. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. Think about what happens if even a handful of people start exchanging at higher rates. The ripple effect would be massive. People would rush to call their banks, check with contacts, or even visit exchange centers to see if the opportunity is real. That kind of activity spreads quickly, and it puts pressure on institutions to be ready. It also builds a wave of expectation that cannot easily be ignored. Once momentum starts, it often moves faster than anyone expects. What begins as whispers can grow into headlines almost overnight. And if that happens here, the idea of the dinar revaluation goes from being a distant dream to a breaking news story around the world. Let's pause and think about why this matters so much. For investors, it's about the financial breakthrough. But for Iraq, it's about economic stability, global trade, and national pride. A stronger dinar means Iraqi citizens can buy goods more easily, businesses can grow, and the country can present itself on the global stage with confidence. Monetary reform has always been about more than investors holding notes abroad, about giving the Iraqi people a currency that works for their daily lives. So when we hear about lower notes and higher exchange rates in the same conversation, it signals that change isn't just possible, it's becoming necessary. That's why 2025 could be the turning point everyone has been waiting for. For those who doubt, that's okay. Skepticism is healthy. But even skeptics must admit that the energy around the dinar today feels different from years past. The conversations are louder, the timing is more urgent, and the connections between different pieces of news are harder to ignore. Whether you've been holding for a decade or just recently joined the journey, you can sense that something is building. And when that momentum reaches a breaking point, it could mean everything changes in a single day. That's why preparation is key. Having a plan for what you do if the RV happens tomorrow is more important now than ever before. Imagine it for yourself. You walk out of the bank, receipt in hand, numbers printed that make your head spin. You sit in your car staring at the proof that years of waiting have paid off. The relief, the joy, and the sense of freedom all hit you at once. You realize the waiting is finally over. That's the picture so many in this community carry with them daily. And that's what makes every news story, every whisper of exchange, so powerful. It keeps the dream alive and reminds everyone that their moment might be closer than they think. As we look at the bigger picture, the pieces are all moving in the same direction. Monetary reform has been discussed for years. Lower denomination notes are entering the conversation, reports of exchanges are surfacing, and a familiar name like Frank26 is being tied to these stories, adding credibility to the buzz. No official statement has been made, but that may not matter. Sometimes the reality begins behind the scenes before the world catches up. And by the time the headlines confirm what people have been whispering about, those who are prepared will already be steps ahead. So here we are in 2025, standing at what feels like the edge of history. The talk of an Iraqi dinar revaluation is louder than ever, fueled by stories of real exchanges, whispers of higher rates, and the familiar voice of Frank26 tied to it all. Whether you believe it fully, doubt it completely, or stand somewhere in between, one truth remains: the energy in this community is electric. Something feels different this time, and it may only be a matter of time before whispers turn into undeniable proof. Until then, keep watching, stay prepared, and remember them. Future can change in a single day. And when it does, you'll want to be ready.